The river breathes like a living creature, its silver body twisting across the grasslands under a sky heavy with storm clouds. On its banks, a band of Australopithecus moves with urgent purpose, bare feet pressing into the damp earth. Hands clutching sharpened stones and woven leaves filled with gathered roots. Their world has always been bound to this river. Its waters carry life, but its depths conceal danger. At dawn, they crouched among reeds, scooping fish into their leaf pouches, while others waded waist-deep, risking the brush of crocodile scales just beneath the surface. Hunger gnaws at their ribs, yet survival is measured not only by the catch, but by the vigilance of eyes scanning the tree line for movement. The savanna whispers of threats both near and far. A shadow falls across the current. A crocodile lunges, jaws wide as the water explodes in spray. One female jerks back her stone tool, slashing against the reptile's armored snout. The group surges in panic, cries rising not as words but as primal echoes of fear. They scramble to the bank, trembling but alive, clutching their prizes, leaving rivulets of blood in the sand from shallow cuts. The crocodile sinks once more, patient eternal, as if the river itself had tested their claim to its bounty. Later, as the sun climbs their bellies partly eased, they spread along the riverside to forage, berries, roots, and shellfish washed ashore. Children cling to their mothers, while the strongest males patrol the edge with raised stones, eyes fixed on distant plains where dust swirls from the hooves of antelope. It is here that survival sharpens into conflict. Another band of Australopithecus emerges downstream, their silhouettes flickering through heat haze. Two groups bound by the same law: the river is life, but it cannot feed all. The first band tightens bodies, braced shoulders squared. A tense stillness grips the air, broken only by the cries of ibis wheeling overhead. Neither side rushes forward. They know the stakes. Stones are hefted higher. Muscles flex, throats rumble with warning growls. The river, once their sanctuary, now becomes a border of rivalry. Clouds gather above thunder, rolling closer as though the sky itself mirrors their brewing conflict. And then, the rain begins, sudden and violent. Sheets of water blur the horizon, turning dust into mud, flattening the grass in waves. The river swells instantly, its edges foaming, dragging branches and debris in a furious surge. Both groups scatter the threat of each other, dissolved by the greater peril of the flood. They cling to roots and rocks, pulling children onto higher ground, bodies pressed together under a canopy of lightning. The river roars louder than their cries, demanding submission yet. Within its chaos lies salvation pools form in hollows, where fish leap stunned by the storm's fury. Through fear and soaked exhaustion, they seize this gift, scooping with frantic hands, turning disaster into sustenance. As night descends, they huddle beneath a leaning fig tree, drenched, shivering but alive, their bellies filled from the river's rage. They share heat in silence, and in that fragile unity, the myth of survival etches itself deeper into their bones. The storm breaks, but its shadow lingers. Morning arrives heavy with mist, the river swollen and dark, dragging logs and animal carcasses in its pull. The Australopithecus band stirs slowly, their bodies' stiff skin streaked with mud hair matted by rain. Yet the urgency of survival does not allow rest. They move cautiously along the water's edge, gathering debris washed ashore, branches to be sharpened into digging sticks, smooth stones that fit into their palms like extensions of bone. The river has stripped the land, but it has also delivered gifts, and they know to claim them before vultures or rival bands arrive. Hunger gnaws again. Yesterday's flood has scattered the herds, leaving the plains eerily empty, the silence broken only by dripping leaves and the distant croak of frogs. The group advances upstream, their senses sharpened by the weight of uncertainty. The ground bears fresh imprints, broad, heavy, circular. Hippos. These massive lords of the river are both providers and executioners. Their flesh could feed many, yet their jaws can crush bone with a single strike. The band halts at the sight of a mother hippo and her calf wallowing in a backwater pool. Instinct urges them to approach, but fear roots them in place. To hunt such a beast is to risk annihilation, yet desperation compels boldness. The males edge closer, raising stones, while females herd the young behind reeds. The tension hums like a bowstring, but the moment shatters with a scream not from the river, but from the grassland. A leopard erupts, a blur of gold and muscle seizing one of the juveniles at the group's flank. Chaos erupts. Stones fly, branches lash, guttural cries rise to the canopy. The leopard's teeth sink, but the fury of the band overwhelms it. A well-aimed stone smashes its shoulder, and another crashes against its skull. The predator retreats with a snarl, the child bloodied but alive, cradled instantly by trembling arms. Breathless, the group rallies their fear, transforming into raw determination. They tend the child's wounds with crushed leaves, pressing bitter herbs into torn flesh, while others form a circle of vigilance. The river glimmers beside them, unbothered, eternal, but now it feels less like a guardian and more like a cage. The land beyond is dangerous, yet the water ties them here. Still, the band knows every choice is measured against survival. As dusk bleeds into amber light, they shift camp higher on the banks, weaving branches into crude shelters. Smoke from lightning-felled wood curls in the distance, and they edge toward it wary but curious. Fire, still alien and terrifying, hisses at the heart of a smoldering tree. They dare not touch it, but they squat, nearby faces painted in orange glow, eyes wide with awe. Heat radiates into their shivering bones, a silent promise of protection. The river feeds, the land wounds, the fire awakens. In this trinity of forces, water, earth, flame, the seeds of survival, myths are sown. The night deepens into a heavy silence, broken only by the constant rush of the swollen river and the crackling of the smoldering fire they dared to linger near. The Australopithecus huddle, close their breaths visible in the cool air, bodies trembling not from cold alone, but from the weight of everything endured. Crocodiles, floods, predators, and the endless hunger that drives them. The wounded child lies cradled in the arms of his mother, leaves bound tightly around the gashes, his breathing shallow but steady. Around him, the band forms a living wall, each pair of eyes reflecting both fear and resolve. Then comes the sound that freezes every muscle, the low, resonant growl of hyenas, echoing from the darkness beyond the tree line. Eyes glint like embers between the reeds, shadows circling, testing the edges of the fire's glow. The band stiffens. Stones are gripped tighter, bones raised as clubs, their bodies instinctively forming a semicircle, with the vulnerable at its heart. The hyenas advance, laughing cries splitting the night, their hunger emboldened by numbers. For a moment, it seems the circle will collapse. And then, in a moment born of desperation, one of the males lunges toward the smoldering tree, ripping free a branch still kissed by flame. Sparks scatter, smoke curls, and the hyenas falter. The band seizes upon this revelation. Fire is not to be feared, but wielded. They wave the burning branch, its light slicing through the night, and soon others follow, clutching embers with leaves to shield their hands. The predators retreat, snarling, their forms dissolving into the dark. as if banished by the very spirit of the earth. In that instant, the river's eternal rhythm is matched by something new, the rhythm of human defiance. By dawn, the storm has passed. The river calms, and the land breathes once more. The band gathers fish from shallow pools, cracks shells along the banks, and chews roots softened by floodwaters. Children laugh faintly despite the trials their voices carrying like birdsong across the plain. The wounded child, though weak, drinks from a leaf cup of water and manages a smile. Around him, relief spreads like sunlight, breaking the horizon. They share food, they share warmth, and for the first time, they share fire, not merely as light, but as a shield, a promise, a beginning. The river still dictates their path, binding them to its edge. Yet now it is no longer the sole master of their fate. They have tasted a force beyond the current, beyond the beasts, beyond the storm itself. In this fragile unity, with fire flickering at the center and water coursing at their side, the story of survival becomes something more, a legend etched into the dawn of humankind. Their laughter rises into the morning air not as triumph, but as the first echoes of a species learning to endure together.